Hi everyone, this is Teacher Trisha, and I hope you're really doing well right now. I hope you had your breakfast, your milk. I hope you're full and you're ready to listen because today we're going to have our new lesson. Before Teacher Trisha give you drills, just like what we always do in our class, I'm going to give you first a definition of ordering fractions. What do we mean to say by ordering fractions, or what do we do when we order fractions? Okay. In ordering fractions, we sort them from smallest to largest, largest to smallest, or vice versa. Okay. This is a quick review about the comparing fractions with like denominators. But now, Teacher Trisha will going to add another way of comparing them by comparing them with like denominators. By comparing them with like numerators. So you have to listen very well because this is a new topic also. I know you're very familiar and you find comparing fractions with like denominators is very easy, but you need to listen since this is gonna be more exciting. For example, this one, when we compare fractions with like denominators, what do you see? Yes, it has the same denominator of 3. Good job. So the 3 there is the denominator of these fractions. And when we say we need to compare fractions with like denominators, all we need to do is to look at the numerators. Again, you don't have to draw models anymore, but you need to focus or you need to look at the numerator. So in that fractions, we have 1 and 2 as our numerator. Again, when two fractions have the same denominator, just compare numerators, and then you need to remember that the bigger the numerator, the bigger the fraction. Okay, so what is your answer on these fractions? Which one? What symbol should we use? Is it greater than, less than, or equal? Okay, very good. It is less than. So 1/3 is less than 2/3. Good job. But then when we are talking about fractions with like numerators, like we have to compare it or identify which one is bigger or which one is the smaller, like this one. What do you see? They have the same numerator of number 1. And when we have the same numerator of 1, what are we going to do? We're going to look in the numerator. But here's the catch. When we are comparing fractions with the same numerator, the way is like this. When the denominator is bigger, the fraction is smaller. Bigger denominator, smaller fractions. When we are talking about same or like numerators. Okay, so going back on this problem, we have 1/3 and 1/5. Which do you think is the larger? And what symbol should we use? Okay, for those who answered greater than, very good. So this one, comparing fractions with like numerators is like the reverse of comparing fractions with the same denominator. So in comparing fractions with the same denominator, for example, 1/4 or 1/4 and 2/4 or 2/4. With in fractions with the same denominators, we just have to look at the numerator and identify which one is bigger. Is it the 2 or the 1? But this one, when we have the same numerator of 1, we're going to look at the denominator. But then, here's the catch. If the denominator is bigger, meaning it is the smallest fraction. So in these fractions, which one is the bigger? Or which one is bigger? Is it 5 or 3? If you answer 5, you are correct. 5 is bigger than 3. But then, when we are talking about fractions with like like numerators, the bigger number is the smallest fraction. So meaning 1/3 is greater than 1/5. Are you with me? Did you understand? Okay, good job. We're going to proceed to the next. To further improve or to further review your knowledge about this one, your knowledge and understanding, of course, we're going to have a drill. Let's see. Okay, so you use greater than, less than, or equal on this part. Okay, we have 3/4 and 2/4. As you can see, yes, they have the same denominator. What are we going to do if we have the same denominator? Like if we're going to compare fractions with the same denominator, all we need to do is to look at the numerator. There. Okay, so it's 3, meaning 3/4, the whole fraction of 3 as the numerator is greater than 2/4. Good job. Another one. Let's try another one. We have, yeah, that's the answer. We have 2/5 and 2/3. Which one do you think is bigger? Or what symbol should we use? Again, as your guide, we have 2 and 2. So we have the same numerator. What should we do if we have the same numerator there? We're going to look at the denominator. The bigger the denominator is, the smaller the fraction. So the largest fraction there is, yes, 2/3. Because 5 is larger than 3, but in comparing fractions with the same denominator, you have the smaller denominator is the larger one. So it's 3. It's 2/3. Next. That's the answer. It's less than. Now, when we have again 5/6 and 5/7, we have 5 as their numerator, but we have 7 and 6. 7 is larger than 6, and it should be reversed. The fraction which has smaller number of denominator, smaller number or smaller denominator is the bigger. Okay, so 5/6 is greater than 5/7. Good job. I hope you're getting the hang of it because this is a new lesson. And thank you for trying. Thank you for answering and participating to our drill. The next one, we have 4/10 and 6/10. Now we have the same denominator. Good job. So when we have the same denominator, you just need to look at the numerator over here and identify which one is larger. And the larger numerator, the larger fraction. So it should be 4/10 is less than 6/10. Wow, good job. Another one. Let's have our last example. So it's 3. So it's 3/8 and 3/5. Okay. You do it on your own and tell me what's your answer. Mm-hmm. Your answer is less than. Okay. If your answer is less than, give yourself a 3 claps. Good job. For those who didn't get the answer, it's okay. We can just try again next time, and teacher Trisha will help you to understand it clearly and well. So I'm going to explain why is the answer less than. Again, we have the same numerator of 3 here. And when we have the same numerator, we just have to look at the denominator, which is 8 and 5. The larger denominator there is 8. But then, when we have the same numerator, the larger the denominator is the smaller. But then, when we have the same numerator, the larger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. That is why the fraction 3/5 is the larger. So 3/8 is less than 3/5. Now, ordering fractions is somehow similar in comparing fractions. In ordering fractions, we need to compare the fractions first before we list them or we arrange them to smaller or largest to smallest or vice versa. You have to listen very well because teacher Trisha will give a lot of ways and strategies that you can use to make it simpler and exciting. When we're ordering fractions with the same numerators, take note of this, with the same numerators, we need to look at the denominators and compare them two at a time. We still need to find the denominators if we are dealing with same or we're dealing with fractions with the same numerators. Again, the fraction with the biggest denominator when we are dealing with the same numerators, fractions with the same numerators, is the smallest, like this one. So if we're going to order these fractions from least to greatest, by least, we are talking about the smallest. Smallest. And when we say greatest, we are talking about the larger or the largest number. Okay. When we say least, it's the smallest fraction. When we say greatest, it's the larger fraction. So in this problem, we need to order these fractions from smallest to largest. Again, if we have the same numerator over here, same numerators of 1, we just have to look at the denominator. So the larger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So with that in mind, which do you think is the least or the smallest? Again, the larger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So we have, which one is the least or the smallest fraction? Okay, it's 1/6. So the least or the smallest number, the smallest fraction there is 1/6. How about the second? It's 1/4. And how about the last or the greatest or the largest fraction? We have or 1/2. So if we are going to arrange it properly from least to greatest or smallest to largest, we will have 1/6, 1/4, and 1/2. Did you get it correctly? Good job. Another one. How about we have the same numerators of 2, but you're going to arrange it into the greatest to least, meaning greatest, the largest, and least, the smallest. So with these fractions, with these fractions or 3 fractions over here, you're going to find the largest first. Which one? Which among these fractions is the largest? The largest there is, okay, good job. It's 2/4. So the first one, which is the largest or the greatest one, is 2/4. How about the next? It's 2/8. So 2/8 is the second. And the third one, which is the last, the least, and the smallest fraction, we have 2/10. And again, if we're going to arrange it or list them into greatest to least, we will have 2/4, 2/8, and lastly, 2/10. So we tackled about ordering fractions with the same numerators earlier, but we're going to proceed in ordering fractions with the same denominators. Again, when we are ordering fractions with the same denominator, we need to look at the numerator and compare them two at a time. And the fraction with the smallest numerator is the smallest. For example, this one. So if they have the same denominator of 8, we just have to look at the numerator. The larger the numerator, the larger the fraction. So which do you think is the least or the smallest? Since we need to order these fractions from least, which is the smaller or the smallest, and the greatest or the largest. So we need to go, or we need to choose and select the smallest one. Which fraction is the smallest there? Okay, it's 3/8. So 3/8 is the first or the least fraction. How about the second one? We have, yeah, it's 5/8. Good job. How about the last or the greatest number? The greatest fraction there, we have 7/8. And if we're going to list them together, all together, we have the list, which is the 3/8, 5/8, and lastly, the greatest or the largest one, which is 7/8. Easy, right? How about this one? Okay, let's try this one. Now we're going to list them or order them from greatest to least. Least as the smaller or the smallest and greatest as the largest. So again, we have the same denominator, which is 6. And we just have to look at the numerator and identify which one is the largest and the smallest. Okay, the first one or the greatest one there is, yes, it's 6. 6 or a whole. It's a whole, so it's the greatest or the largest one. How about the next? We have 5/6, the second one. And the least or the smallest one among these fractions, we have 3/6. Good job. We have, and if you're going to order them properly, we will have 6th, 6th, 5/6, and 3/6. Yes, so that was it. Now we're going to proceed into our drill. So we're going to have drill about ordering these fractions for with like denominators or like numerators from least to greatest or greatest to least. Are you ready? Okay, so we need to order these fractions from greatest to least. When we say greater, we have the larger or the largest one to the smallest one. Okay, for the first one, we have 1/7, 1/9, and 1/13. I mean 1/3, sorry. So 1/7, 1/9, and 1/3. Which do you think is the greatest one? Or the bigger fraction there? Yes, it's 1/3. Because when we have the same numerator, which is 1, the smallest denominator is the bigger fraction or the biggest fraction. So we'll have 3. How about the next one? We have, okay, it's 1/7. And the last, it's 1/9. If you get that correctly, very good. How about the next one? And the next one, we have 6/9, 1/9, and 2/9. Again, they have the same denominators. And when we have fractions with the same denominators, very good. The larger or the largest numerator is the largest fraction. So which one do you think is the first or the greatest one? We have 6/9, 2/9, and 1/9. Good job. Very good. If you got that correctly, we're going to proceed to the next. But if you don't and you need another examples, you can just rewind the video and watch it again. Of course, Teacher Trisha knows that you're going to get it. You're going to understand it as long as you keep learning it. Good luck. And to the next. To the next fractions, we have 3/10, 3/3, and 3/6, 3/3 or 1/2. So we have least to greatest. So we need to order the fractions from least, which is smaller, to greatest, which is the largest. Okay, so we have 3/10, 3/3, and 3/6. Which one do you think will go first, or the least fraction there? Again, if they have the same numerator, what should you do? Okay, the first one or the least fraction there is 3/10. The next is 3/6, and we have the greater or the greatest or largest fraction there. It's 3/3 or 1/2, of course. Let's proceed to the next. To the next one, we have this, which is 12, 12, and 12, meaning they have the same denominator. And when we say, when we have the same denominator, we just need to look at the numerators. The numerator, first we have 1/12, which is the least or the smallest fraction there, and 2/12 and 4/12. Wow, I hope you got all of that correctly. Okay, now, after answering all that, are you ready for your work, for your sit? Now, after answering all that with Teacher Trisha's help, are you now ready to answer or to order fractions on your own? Of course, I know you are ready. We're going to have our practice test. So you get your notebook and try ordering fractions on your own. Good luck. In practice test number 1, choose the smallest fraction and write it in your notebook. In here, you have to choose the smallest fraction only. So you're going to answer just one fraction there. You need to identify which one is the smallest. If also, you can try pausing this video if you can write your answer immediately so that you won't get confused with other numbers. In number 1, we have 2/5, 1/5, and 4/5. Which do you think is the smallest fraction? Number 2. Number 2, we have 1/7, 3/7, 5/7. Which do you think is the smallest fraction there? Okay. Into the next numbers, we have the numbers 3 and 4. But you have to choose the largest fraction and write it in your notebook. Now, you're going to choose the largest fraction. In number 3, we have 4/6, 1/6, and 6/6. In number 4, we have 2/8, 2/5, and 2/10. Okay. Again, you can try stopping or pausing this video first if you're still answering. On practice test part 2, you need to order these fractions from least to greatest. Again, when we say least, it means the smallest number or the smallest fraction, while the greatest is the largest fraction. So number 5, we have 1/6, 1/4, 1/5. In number 6, we have 2/3, 2/5, and 2/6. In number 7, we have 3 nines, 5 nines, and 7 nines. Let's proceed to the next number. Again, you can pause this video if you're not done answering. Number 8, we have, you need to order these fractions again from greatest to least. So the previous slide, you need to order the fractions there from least to greatest. In here, you need to order the fractions from greatest to least. Read the instructions carefully, and I hope you don't get confused. Number 8, it's 3/4, 3/8, 3/6. In number 9, we have 8/12, 3/12, 10/12. Number 10, it's 14/15, 5/15, and 1/15. I am so grateful and I appreciate all your efforts in answering and participating in this video. Again, I'm going to give you key points in ordering fractions. You need to remember that when ordering fractions with the same numerators, we just have to look at the denominator and compare them two at a time. The fraction with the biggest denominator is the smallest. And when ordering fractions with the same denominator, look at the numerators and compare them two at a time, and the fraction with the smallest numerator is the smallest. Thank you for trying to learn with teacher Trisha, even though we cannot see each other personally. I hope you learn a lot on this video. And of course, I'm going to see you on Thursday. That's February 22, 2024. Thank you so much. Bye.